All right, so thank you for joining us today for 10 proven ways to sell online backup. My name is Carla Federico, and I'm the online marketing manager here at Infrascale, and you should see on your screen here the agenda that we're going to cover today. So firstly, we're going to discuss identifying the right target audience. We're going to talk about selling with a specific offer, and in particular, we're going to talk about developing offers and calls to action. We'll discuss creating an online backup website, as well as the anatomy of a great email template and killer subject lines for those emails. Then we'll talk about email service providers and business backup sales pitches, as well as sales scripts and the anatomy of a powerful sales script. We'll touch on cold calling as well before we discuss pricing and packaging and free trials, when to use them, how to use them. So if there are any questions during the webinar, please feel free to use the question tool and ask those. And I will be sending you a copy of this presentation as well as these slides after the webinar. A quick introduction to your host. I'm just including this slide here as well so that you have my contact information. If you need to reach out to me, my email address is carla.federico, sorry about that, at infrascale.com. Should see it back up on your screen again here. I just went forward too quickly. And my LinkedIn as well. If you need to reach out, please feel free to do so. If there are any questions that aren't answered during today's webinar, I'll be happy to discuss them further with you via email. So first, we are going to cover identifying the right target audience. So this comes into play because you have an online backup product to sell and perhaps other cloud solutions. If you're also a FileLocker partner or Enguard partner and you have a number of secure cloud solutions that you can provide for your customers. So you need to first identify the needs of your ideal target audience prior to embarking on any type of sales or marketing campaign. So this is the first step for selling online backup or any cloud solution. So step one is simply determining who you're going to have access to. Do you have access to a business audience, residential, or perhaps both? And what is your business like? So who are you selling to? Secondly, you'll be identifying who among that group is the key decision maker regarding online backup or cloud storage. So a couple of examples here just to give is in a medical office, it might be the head physician, whereas in a hotel, it might be the general manager. So just identifying who those key decision makers are going to be is essential before you actually get started. And then thirdly, step three, is determining how many of those decision makers you have access to, and then developing a way to reach them via phone or via email. And we'll talk about both of those methods as you move forward. So this is these three steps in identifying the right target audience can vary across our partner base. It's going to vary based on your specific business, what else you might be offering, your geographical location, and a number of other factors. So take all of that into consideration with these three key points that we're offering. So once you have identified that target audience, you want to develop an offer and a call to action. This is the best way to ensure the success of your marketing campaign. What you're doing here is asking your customers to do something. So this is the offer. And the way that you do that is your call to action. So a couple of examples that we can give here. In this example, you see an SOS online backup landing page. It's using a 25% off offer, and the call to action, or also known as CTA, is backup now. Okay, so a couple of other sample offers. One sample offer could be a free quote on a company-wide disaster recovery plan. Disaster recovery is a great pitch to use, and that's a great sample offer to entice your customers. Another sample offer is 25% off your first month of online backup. Thirdly, no payment for your first month of online backup. So this offer is really giving your customer a new reason to contact you. Any of these offers are going to work really well. Online backup might not necessarily be very thrilling to your customers. It's a necessary purchase, and these offers can make it a bit more enticing. So a little more on that, some examples of CTAs, or calls to action. Firstly, get your free quote today, or get 25% off now, or get your first month free. So it's a call to action, as again, it's asking your customer to do something with your offer, and your call to action is how they can proceed. So next step would be, if you so choose, creating an online backup website. This is a consideration that some of our partners, actually many of our partners, do take. And you can firstly decide on a really meaningful headline for that landing page or website. And this is going to be your offer. The example that we have here is a file locker landing page. We use the call to action, which is big green button of download white paper. And we have a very clear headline: how exposed is your company data? 10 ways to identify the risk. So we simply use the title of the white paper as our headline, as it's short, to the point, very direct and clear. And then we have a big green button for our call to action. So that keeps it very simple to understand where we'd like you to go and what we're asking you to do next. Fill out this form and click this big green button right here. So some tips on creating a website are to use simple and clear copy, to be very clear in your call to action, also to have a very easy to identify button, the way that we've done here. A couple of additional points should be included, so you can provide extra evidence within your website or landing page. And that's what we've done with our copy here. So we've given some additional evidence and information. What you could consider using is features such as unlimited archiving, or perhaps backup for PCs and Macs, or the feature of data being secured in a military-grade data center. So this could vary based on your customer base, but the evidence points that you would like to provide are really going to be tailored towards your customers. So in the example that we used a few minutes ago in a medical office, for example, if you had a customer who needed to comply with HIPAA requirements or other government regulations, those would be great points of evidence to include on your website or on your landing page. So that's definitely going to be a factor for those customers that need to comply with government regulations. And then as far as the look and feel and design of your website, we do have a partner right now, Web Design. If you need more specific and detailed information or design assistance, you can contract them to design your website. But if you are designing on your own, I would definitely suggest using very simple copy as well as simple colors. Using bullet points to break apart long lists and long paragraphs is very helpful, much more easy on the eye to read. So for readability, you want to break out those long sentences and paragraphs. Just break them out into bullet points. Also, for your color scheme, try to use no more than 2 primary colors and 1 neutral color. That could sound like a very obvious suggestion. However, you and I have all seen websites with lots of colors everywhere, very hard to distinguish what to do or where to go next, not a very clear call to action. You don't really see a clean button. So those are just some basic points to keep in mind and make sure that you're adhering to those types of rules. Next, let's move on to emails. So you've already identified your target audience, and you've perhaps created a landing page or website focusing on your offer and your call to action. So now you're really ready to get going. You want to be up and running and selling this product. So what you're potentially going to do next is use email or cold calling and reach out to those prospective customers. So let's talk about the anatomy of a great email template. Now what you want first is a headline, again, clear to the point, very easy to read. So you include your headline up at the top, and then you want to include some supporting points. So again, this could be some of the details that we just discussed, whether it be unlimited archiving, whether it be data backup and recovery, whether it be low RTO or recovery time objective. Maybe you're including points on government regulations, so compliance with HIPAA, PCI, safe harbor, etc. So you want to include some points, and then at the end, a very clear call to action. So this is an example of a webinar registration here for SOS Online Backup with a very clear example of the title as the headline, some supporting points of what you'll hear, and then a register now button, which is what we're asking you to do if you're interested. So this is just one example for you. We can use templates like these with any of the copy in our Partner Resource Center. So I will cover the Partner Resource Center at the end of this presentation, and we'll go through that to be sure that everyone is familiar with the content in the Partner Resource Center, how to use it, and where to access it. Any questions so far? We've covered quite a bit already. We covered identifying the right target audience, offers and calls to action. We've covered creating a landing page or website, and we've also covered email templates. Any questions? And while I wait for any questions to come in, I'll go ahead to the next slide. So let's talk now about the subject lines for your email. This is such a critical piece of your sales and marketing efforts. And the reason being, it really doesn't matter how great of an email template you have or presentation and proposal you have if nobody opens it. So be brief and be relevant. These are two keys to getting your promotional emails read. Here are some examples of subject lines that you can use and how to write them and where to get started. So firstly, just get straight to the point. If you see an email in your inbox with the offer put forward in that subject line, you'll most likely be pretty inclined to open it. A couple of examples here. Get 25% off your 1 terabyte upgrade today. So that's a great offer. It's really going to entice some prospective customers, and that would be excellent as a subject line for an email. Secondly is to be ominous. So this could sound odd, but eerie yet relevant phrases really do help. And here, your aim is to get the email opened. So if you achieve that aim, you've met your goal. An example here is the government has a question about your backups. And I say you've met your goal in your email opens. Now, of course, then you have a further goal of having your customer interact, and depending on your call to action, you'll be asking them to do something further. However, with a subject line, your goal is just to get that email opened and read. Again, no matter how good your email is, it doesn't matter if no one's opened it to read it. The third example here is using highly relevant and personal information. So personalization is a method that you can use to get your emails open. Email service providers will include, depending on the email service provider you use, will include personalization. I'll talk a bit more about that in just a minute. So the example here for a personalized email is, Carla Federico, you're at the top of the list. If I saw my name in my email inbox, I'm going to open it out of curiosity and see what list is that and how do they know that I'm on there. So, of course, curiosity is going to get you to open that email, and relevancy. So let's do a quick poll here. Let me pull this up. You should be seeing on your screen a poll that we've set up. which email would you open? So which email would you open? 50% of firms have blacklisted this tool, is one subject line. This means everything is the second subject line. 25% off your online backup solution is the third. And what would it cost you if you lost your data? And it looks like our results here split between 25% off your online backup solution and what would it cost you if you lost your data. So those are subject lines that reference cost and a discount. So the 25% off is definitely a very enticing email. What would it cost you if you lost your data? We have plenty of information and research that's been done on data loss and recovery, so that's very relevant. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Thank you for participating. I'm just going to get back into the presentation, and that's what everyone has selected as the most popular here. Great to see. All right, well now that we have email subject lines down and you have your email template created and ready to go, how are you going to send out your emails? So those of you joining us today, is there anyone who's using maybe Outlook to send out emails, or Gmail, or Yahoo, or Hotmail? Any personal email providers that you might be using for professional emails, for your business emails? And if so, this is the whole purpose of this slide. So if you do take anything from email service providers, it's a very, very high recommendation of ours. And the reason being several. So firstly, don't use your Outlook because an email service provider can provide you with simple HTML creation. It also gives you a place to upload and keep all of your email lists. It's extremely cost effective. There are many that you can start a trial for free. The cost can be as little as $9.99 per month ongoing. And it gives you a unique email address to send from. So rather than using your personal Outlook or your Gmail, you have a unique email address that you can associate with your business. It's much more professional than using Outlook, and they're just very simple, very cost effective. You can get started with them very easily. A couple of vendors that you can look at, these are just simply a few that come to mind for me: MailChimp, Elite Mail, and Constant Contact. These are some examples that I've used as well. And really, an ESP is a very professional way to send your emails. It provides you with reporting on your emails as well. So you do have reporting on open rates, click-through rates, conversions to leads, and it really does give you a great view on your marketing efforts. So highly recommended. Okay, let's talk a bit about business backup sales pitches. So we've now already covered firstly identifying the right audience, offers and calls to action. We've talked all about emails, from templates to subject lines to email service providers. Now we're going to get into the sales pitches. So you are going to be pitching online backup to businesses large and small. This is how you're going to be generating recurring revenue for your business. And a couple of sales pitches that you can use as examples are these three here. So these are three ways to start discussing online backup with businesses. One is going to be compliance. Most businesses do have to comply with some sort of government regulation. We already talked about HIPAA. It might be PCI or Sarbanes-Oxley. But you are able to eliminate the threat of noncompliance by giving your customers a tool that will encrypt files and store them securely off-site. And our double-blind encryption system, as you know, is used by the U.S. military and the like. It is the ultimate in data security. And our off-site data centers are all Tier 3 and Tier 4 grade data centers, meaning they have security surveillance 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, 365 days per year. They also have redundant heating and cooling systems, etc. So they are the highest in security. Second example to pitch online backup and start discussing this with your businesses is the potential damage of data loss. So really what you're selling is the recovery rather than the backup. It's estimated that 70% of businesses that lose data will go out of business within 1 year. And this is an HP study that we saw recently. And this data is not yet out of date, but is just a little bit older. So this could be a stat that we update as well. It could be slightly more than 70% of businesses at this point. So that's one potential way to pitch online backup is the threat of data loss. Data loss results in lawsuits. It's evidence of regulation noncompliance. So these are all problems and issues that are going to be brought to any business if they experience data loss. Thirdly is the threat of losing customer data. It's found that customer data is actually the most frequently lost or mishandled. So businesses really want to hear with confidence, you want to be able to tell your customers, the data you share with me is kept private and kept safe. And then further to that, and how do you do that, is preventing customer data loss by encrypting their data and storing it off-site. Any questions so far? We're next going to get into the anatomy of a powerful sales presentation. So you'll be doing sales presentations after you've connected with your prospects. You've already identified that audience, you've set up a website, you sent out emails, and now you have a sales presentation to walk through with your customers. So this is really an opportunity for you to show how your company is going to solve their problems and make life better for that customer. So firstly, you have an introduction. With your introduction, you want to be sure to cover what you're going to review. And then at the end, it's nice to go back and recap what you've covered as well. Just keeps everyone on the same page, keeps the presentation organized and flowing smoothly. Next, you'll acknowledge that there is a problem. So some of those stats that we have on data loss are great to share with your prospects. I have more that I can share with you as well. That study that I referred to a minute ago that HP performed. So you'll acknowledge that there's a problem by discussing that data loss is practically inevitable, that losing data could be very, very harmful to an organization. You can share the stat that I just read. 70% of organizations that lose data go out of business. And therefore, a recovery solution is necessary for all businesses, large or small. Doesn't matter the size of the business, a recovery solution is necessary and should be in place for everyone. So what the solution that you'll offer is a SaaS online backup solution, software as a service. And a software as a service means there's no hardware to manage and the installation will be taken care of for you, for that customer. It will be scheduled, so you never need to worry about when the backups are happening or what the schedule is. And you, as their provider, will be able to schedule those backups as needed. You can also overwrite any policies for scheduled backups. So for example, what I do is have my backups run every 24 hours overnight. Your customers will never see that happening or be disrupted by that happening. So it will run every 24 hours. They'll have all of their data backed up, and it won't disturb the productivity of any of the work that they're doing. Other features to include with the solution is that the data is encrypted with our double-blind encryption system and that the data is recoverable at any point in time. So they will be able to access that data and recover at any point in time. So then you'll want to next go into some features of the solution. So you want to be sure you present your customer with a completely worry-free backup and recovery solution. Some of the features also include cloud backup for PCs, Macs, Androids, and iPhones, as well as server backup for Exchange servers, SQL servers, and Windows-based servers as well. Some other features that you'll want to discuss revolve around RTO and RPO. Now, RTO being recovery time objective and RPO being recovery point objective, you'll want to keep very low in the event of any disaster to recover quickly and to recover from a very recent point in time so that work is not lost. So if the 24-hour overnight backup period is too long for your customer, you can, of course, write a policy for the backups to happen more frequently. They could happen every hour if need be, and any information that has been created in the last hour will then be backed up. That will lead to very, very low, extremely low recovery point objective. Next, you'll want to consider a few features when you're evaluating competitors. Now, competition will most likely come up at some point with one of your prospects, so you want to be prepared with that. You also want to know about the competitors in your area for your businesses so that you're prepared. Firstly, does it include bare metal backup and recovery as well? Is it a fully managed service? Does it include unlimited archiving? And are security standards enough for me? These are just a few things to consider when you're looking at competition. And then you'll want to be sure to cover how to get started. This will be towards the end of your sales presentation. You'll want to let your customer evaluate the product. You'll want to create a quote and create a disaster recovery plan for your customer, so that you'll be letting them know how to get started. You can use any or all of these methods, but you want to be sure to provide the next step. Finally, you'll want to thank your customer. You'll want to give them your contact information again, and you want to cover everything that you've gone over with them to be sure you're on the same page and do a recap. Okay? Now we'll talk about cold calling. So we've covered the anatomy of a successful sales presentation. The cold call is very, very similar. So we've covered that in detail. Here is a quick version of the cold calling. It's going to be very similar to a sales presentation. However, it's going to be shortened and much more condensed. And cold calling is really tough if you're not adequately prepared for it. So you want to have a really concise presentation of the problem and also of the solution. And that's what's going to help you move fast through the cold call and keep the prospect's attention. That's the difficulty with cold calling. But when you have it set up, organized, and you're ready to go, it will be very easy for you. So firstly, you have an introduction, just like we had with the sales presentation. So you'll let them know the relevant reason why you're calling. And then you'll be presenting the pain point or identifying that there's a problem and verifying that that problem exists with them. Next, you'll be presenting the solution. Again, listing the great features of the solution, being empathetic. In this example here, ensuring low recovery time for all of your devices is critical. If your RTO is too high, you could seriously damage your business. We aim to fix that. And then you'll go into how you aim to fix that, of course. You could talk about feature benefits and more details. Before you do get off the call, you want to be sure to do one thing, and that's ask for the next step. So you want to be sure to identify the next step for the prospect rather than asking, how would you like to proceed? Rather than asking how they'd like to proceed, because they may not know how they need to proceed, you'll tell them what they need next. And you'll do that by giving them something they need. Depending on how the conversation goes, you may want to give them a white paper or a data sheet. You may want to ask them to join a webinar or a video. You may want to schedule a meeting with them. So you'll determine by the course of that call what that next step is going to be and what's appropriate for that particular prospect. Be sure to ask for that next step in your first call so that you can continue the conversation and move forward with that prospect and turn them into a customer. Okay, now we're on to pricing and packaging. So we have covered quite a bit. If there are any questions on the sales presentation or sales pitches or cold calling, please feel free to use the question tool and type them in. And we'll be sure to cover those during the Q&A. So when it comes to pricing and packaging, you want to make sure you entice your customers by offering a perfectly priced solution. All right, I think we lost audio for just a moment. Can I do a quick audio check? Okay, great. So you are able to hear me. Sorry about that. Glad that we got reconnected. And I'll just backtrack just a moment to the last slide that we were on. Sorry. Okay, so we had just started discussing pricing and packaging. So when it comes to pricing and packaging, you want to offer your customer a perfectly priced solution, so something that matches their precise needs. So you really want to tailor your offerings to that business, and that business could vary. Again, as we discussed, some businesses might need to comply with government regulations, so their package might be set somewhat different than if they did not. That's just one example, but really what you want to do is match your offering to each business's requirements. And while you're doing that, you want to play up the features in which the customer finds the most value. So you'll see that in talking with your prospects and your prospective customers and getting to know their business, you'll see what they need, what they find of the most value, and you'll be able to play up those features that they most need immediately and essentially. So that's really going to help with packaging your business. Now, you might be including products or features that aren't online backup. You might be including other features as well. Depending on your business, you could be including antivirus or software updates or maybe hardware maintenance. So you might want to develop an entire data protection service package around that for your customers, depending on what you offer. And then thirdly, when it comes to pricing and packaging, you want to consider other backup prices in your region. So your geographic location does really have a huge impact on how to price your online backup. So you want to consider what competitors are charging, and you also want to consider other factors like bandwidth availability and cost in your area, in your region. Any questions on packaging and pricing? Great. Okay, now let's discuss free trials. When to use a free trial, how to use a free trial, and what that's going to do for you. So the free trials that you give to your prospects should be used very carefully. These free trials could potentially make or break a sale. So know when to demo versus offering a free trial. If your prospect finds backup really complicated, if they find it difficult to understand, if they are not necessarily following along with you, then you want to demonstrate the online backup with them. That's going to be your best bet. Demonstrate the software for it to be fully understood. If, however, you are in the opposite situation and your customer is very technologically proficient, they get online backup, they're ready to go, they'd like to get started and go ahead backing up their files and folders, perhaps already run a recovery, then a trial is going to be great for them. So when you do decide that you're going to give a free trial, you want to consider limiting the duration of the trial. I find that 14 days is a very fair amount of time to give for a trial. A customer can try a backup, a recovery, and get familiar with the software in a 14-day time period. So I find that to be a really great period of time for that trial. It also, rather than having an indefinite trial, you'd like to have a date with which you get back in touch with that prospect and follow up and work out those next steps towards purchase. And then lastly, with a free trial, you want to limit the storage, as the customer really should not need more than 50 gigabytes to simply assess the product. With 50 gigs, it will be enough to back up a small server and some endpoints, so they're going to be able to run a backup and a recovery and really assess the software. Any questions now on free trials? And what I'd like to do now is go into the Partner Resource Center. Is anyone familiar with the Partner Resource Center already? Okay, so when you come to dashboard.infrascale.com, you'll be able to log into your partner dashboard. Let me just log in here. And of course, when you first log in, you have video overviews that are very helpful for you. I'm going to close that out so that we can take a look at the Partner Resource Center. So the Partner Resource Center is located as the second link in the support section. We provide it here between the Partner Resource Center and the Backup Knowledge Base. We provide a number of articles and templates and information for you that you can use to better resell your product. So let's go into the Partner Resource Center and take a look. So in the Partner Resource Center, the first section is the partner webinars, just like this one that we're holding now. So these partner success webinars, we have, this is one of two. Now, the first, we have a intro to your partner dashboard, which is a technical training. And that covers how to really get started with your business. You'll create your first backup account, you'll manage all of your customer accounts, and you'll find out what resources are available for support. as we do have support available 7 days a week. Now, part 2, which we have now, is sales and marketing training. So if you want to sign up for any of the other webinars, you can simply view the calendar and register with this link here in your Partner Resource Center under the first tab of Partner Success within Partner Webinars. Now, let's look at some sales presentations and guides and some marketing materials available to you in your Partner Resource Center. So within the sales presentations and guides, we have a number of documents here for you. You can look at the file type, and that's going to tell you if it's a Word document or a PowerPoint or a PDF. You can click on any of these to download and then edit these documents. If it's a PDF, you'll find the source files available as well. So if you have a download available here in the source files, then we're going to provide you with the PSD and AI files that you need to recreate and rebrand that PDF. So if you're familiar with Photoshop and Illustrator, you'll be able to work on that. Or if you have someone on your team who is a designer or familiar with those tools, you'll be able to download and rebrand your own PDFs. Let's look at a quick example. I clicked on Cloud Backup Proposal. I'm going to say OK to download. And I'll have to pull up my downloads to open this here. So let me open it in the new tab. So all that's downloading there. I'll have to pull up my downloads. So I've opened up my downloads, and here's the document. So it's very easy to see where you'll be able to rebrand these documents. You can put in your logo, you can put in your company name, and the rest is a completely ready-to-go document on Cloud Backup and Recovery. So all of this information is ready to go for your customers. You simply put in your company name, again here, as you see fit. Then you have a location to insert your logo and your more company info. This is what you're going to send out as a proposal for your customers. The last page here, you can even put in prices for your proposal. So you can get very detailed with this for your customers. So this is just one example. Let's take a look again at the Partner Resource Center to see what else is available. So that's a simple example of a Word document that you can rebrand. Again, with the source files available, you can download any of these files and get custom PDFs made for you with those files. So here's a disaster recovery plan template, again, a Word document that you have available to you. We also have compliance guidelines. Many of these are Word documents. And then you have email templates. So as I did mention, any of the email templates available here in the Partner Resource Center can be used and sent out, as we mentioned, when we covered email service providers and emailing. So they're all available here to you. And then we have some marketing presentations for you as well. Again, the source files are available for download, and you're able to get an entire online backup partner program overview, the 2013 market outlook for MSPs, 2014 coming very soon, an online backup proposal for 2013, again, 2014 coming extremely soon. We also have a sell sheet for end users and pricing information. Finally, towards the bottom, we have installation and user guides and the product information. We have Exchange Granular Recovery user guides. We also have a bare metal image creator guide. And we have an account creation instruction guide. You can check out all the release notes here in the release notes section as well. And then we have training videos and file locker information as well. Are there any questions on any of the information that you'll find in the Partner Resource Center? And also, are there any questions, since the last tab here is File Locker? Any questions on File Locker, another one of Infrascale's product lines? Is everyone familiar with? Great. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I will stick around for another few minutes. If there are any questions, please use the questions tool. But again, thank you for joining us. We very much look forward to seeing you out there, and thank you so much for your partnership.